Daniel's just all business today.
That's right.
Well, we should have caught the singing right there at the beginning. That's why.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying. Wait, hold on. Get it going before we catch any more gems.
You know what? You should always be recording.
Always be recording. Never
ABR.
stop, never stopping.
ABR, always be recording. That should be our motto. Right? Was it like ABC, always be closing? Wasn't that the...
Always be closing.
Yeah.
Yes, always be closing. Yep.
You got snow, Dan?
Yeah, not right now.
Okay.
I mean, it's cold, but we got some snow earlier in the week. I mean, it's cold out in the car. I'm squeezing my hands into my wife's little tiny gloves. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I was up in the mountains this week.
Oh
wow. We had some Space Force training last month, and I'm a weapons training officer, so had to qualify everyone, and as usual, there's one or two people who did not make the cut, and they have to come back a month later, and you have to do the whole thing again for just two people. And the difference is, the weather in upstate New York, the second week in October compared to the third week in November is yeah. So the range is covered in snow. You're walking out there and it's crunch, 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 crunch.
So you can really, really nail those guys.
Yeah.
When you're out in the woods with these people, do you say Darmok and Talaj? That's
Tanagra.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they had weapons from that too,
And when they, what is it? Temba, his eyes open? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
When they finally hit the target.
When they finally hit the target, I go, Temba! His eyes open! And they look at me like I have 9
Shaka,
heads.
when the walls fell.
When the walls fell.
Yeah.
Oh, we're live. Apparently YouTube just went live. I didn't have to hit a button. Great.
Nice.
Whatever.
Nice.
It's cool. Yeah. It's cool. But the area I was in is close to Lake George, which I've talked about Lake George before. And it's a big vacation area. And so I was there in August, and I'm on the sidewalk on the main strip, and there's nowhere to stand. You got to constantly move out of the way of people walking by. So then being there the third week in November, and it's just like a ghost town. It's just weird. It's weird.
Too cold. Get out.
Yeah, just imagine going to Disneyland and you're the only one there. That's what that's how I equate it.
I would be in heaven.
Yeah.
To go to Disneyland with no one there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the rides weren't running.
Oh, well, still.
I've heard that Disney has been kind of trashed lately, like rides have been breaking down because of the cost cutting.
Well, it's not so much that as it is some maintenance issues too. And in fact, every park in Orlando is going through renovations right now as well. In between right now and, well, maybe somewhat not until after the holiday rush, but definitely January, February, March, and April. Those 4 months, there's going to be so much construction going on between all of those. I actually have talked to several companies around the area that are buying equipment right now, because they have contracts for all this stuff. It's going to be a big renovation throughout all of Orlando the first quarter of next year. So.
Oh, cool.
Every theme park, not just Disney. It's Universal and everybody else's, even the small stuff around the area. Because nobody did their normal, rebuilds for maintenance. Yeah. Nobody did their normal updates or anything like that in 2020, 2021. They had such an influx in 2022 that they really couldn't get to it. So here we are. It's just a laggard from all of that.
Jesus Christ. You know what I'm getting tired of hearing?
Yeah.
Well, because of COVID.
Yeah.
My God, if I hear that one more time.
Yep.
And it doesn't even matter what you're talking about. It's everything. Mm-hmm. Well, because of COVID. Well, it's a lasting effect from COVID and the pandemic.
But in reality, that's what's going on. There's so many things that it impacted that people don't even realize that are still downstream. It's still an issue. So yeah.
Yes and no. There is a lot of things that are still legitimately affected by that, and then there's a lot of people who are full of shit.
Oh, of course.
And something's not going the way it's supposed to. Yeah, something's not going the way it's supposed to. And they're like, COVID.
Yeah, I know. I know. I hear that all the time. I
So-
had somebody give me a whole bunch of excuses about not being able to deliver something because of the supply chain, and I looked at him and said, "Do you realize
Yeah.
this stuff could fit in a box on a fucking plane? Shut up and get it coming." Yeah, I don't even know. Like, you've thrown that excuse out so many times, your common sense
Yeah.
has gone out the window. Like, literally, it could fit
Yeah.
inside of a 12 by 12 by 12 box. What
Yeah.
are we talking about?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a matter of he didn't have the parts. He had the parts. He just couldn't get them shipped. And I'm sitting here going, "You have got to be kidding me. I mean, you're an idiot. Someone's fed you a line and you're just regurgitating it with no thought." Like that's most people nowadays though.
So my wife's gloves, it's counterproductive because while it's warmer to have them on, they're so tight that they're cutting off the circulation of my fingers. And they feel cold anyway. So you know what? We're not doing that.
We're going to ship Dan some hand warmers, he can just break them and hold them and do this while he, warm up
I
his
have a
hands.
feeling he's going to start up the car every now and then.
Maybe.
Oh, it's running. It's
Oh, is
running.
it? Okay.
It's well, here's the thing. It's running, but I keep the heater low because when I turn it up, you guys
we can
hear
hear it. Yeah.
Right.
So it takes a few minutes. So what you need us to
So,
send you
yeah.
then is a remote start so that you can start the car 30 minutes before the show starts.
I have a remote start. What I need you to do is call me at 10:30 and say, hey, jackass. Hey, jackass, start the shuttle. We got to.
So you can't set a reminder on Siri on your phone. You have to have a human
can.
being do it.
I can't. Fine. You
This
know what?
is just getting worse and
I
worse.
need you to
Daniel.
call me the night before and tell me to ask Siri to set the thing.
This is
I
getting
don't
worse.
like when mom and dad fight.
That's what it sounds like. I
Yeah,
was
that's
told.
what
I
it
was told
sounds
the other day that when I was on voice comms with a bunch of guys in the game, it was like, "Okay, Dad, stop, Dad," because I'm like older than everybody else,
Yeah, you
Well,
kind
we
of
should
fall
roll
in. We kind of fall into some of those roles.
How can you not?
Yeah,
What
a
a-
little bit.
You know, one of my guys who needed to qualify, he was late, and halfway through training when he shot exceptionally well, and I said, "You were still late, but Daddy's proud of you."
I do get called Papa because
Yeah.
like some of these guys I'm twice as old as. I could be their father.
Yeah, I got into an argument with one of the other supervisors on my job, and at the end I said, "Listen, we can't do this in front of the kids."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've said
And he
that
knew
before as
exact-
well.
yeah. He knew exactly
Yeah.
what I meant.
That's hilarious.
Ladies and
We should
gentlemen,
do
welcome
we
to
should do a
Fathercast.
podcast. Yeah, we should do a
We should.
podcast.
We should.
We should do a Star Trek one. You know
All
what?
right.
We should do it today.
Okay, let's do it. Hey, in fact, let's do the intro.
Trekcast. The galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast.
I
All
really
right.
like that one.
I do
like
too.
That intro. Yeah,
I do
it's
too.
just fun.
It's in the background. It's a little nice music
Yep.
to kind of get us going, even though we were already going for 8 minutes on I don't know what.
Yeah, but we were
Yeah.
going nowhere. So you know,
Right.
there's that.
Exactly.
Boldly going nowhere.
Setting course for
Boldly, yeah.
Trekcast.
Daniel said it. Boldly going nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And of course, that comes from the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crew who were trying to do that back in the day, right? Isn't that what
Yeah,
their
like
show
in
was?
2008, I think.
Yeah, way
Yeah.
back. Yeah,
We posted the pilot in our
Mhm.
Facebook group, which
we did.
people should join the Facebook group. It's a ton of fun.
Yes, you should. You should be
Yeah.
on the Facebook group. You should be over on Discord or YouTube to watch us live. Either one. Doesn't matter to me which one you go to. Just watch us live. Either one of those areas you can chat while we're broadcasting live, and we'll be monitoring it and watching it, and so you can talk to us real time. And of course, you can
But
call
we are
us.
always watching. We are always
Yes, we
monitoring.
are always watching. And of course, you can call us 816-287-0448. We actually have a voicemail this week, gentlemen.
Whoa.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, from an actual listener. It's not me calling in and pretending to be somebody.
Oh, perfect.
So,
Nice.
yeah. So, welcome to Trekcast, the galaxy's most unpredictable Star Trek podcast. I'm Chad. That's Dan. That's Daniel. Either side of your screen, depending upon how it's projecting. So, Here we are again, another week. Just a heads up, next week is Thanksgiving weekend, so we will not have a show on Sunday. It's already here.
Au contraire.
Well, we won't have a live show with the three of us, right?
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, we will not have a live show, but there is a show.
Okay.
It's already uploaded, scheduled to go.
Yep. So give thanks for it. Give
Yes.
thanks.
That's right.
Bringing the content to you while you trip the Light Fantastic on the Tripofan turkey.
That's right.
So
even though the birds aren't real, it's really weird how that works.
it is weird how that works. They're not real, but somehow we can eat them every Thanksgiving. It's really not a bird.
They're
because
replicated.
it can't, yeah, it's really not a bird though
They're
because it can't
synthetic
fly.
organic meat. It's synthetic organic meat with trackers in it.
Well,
So
no.
hard
It's
to keep
real.
track of you.
It's real, but that's the big fallacy, right? I mean, birds that can fly are the ones that are not real. Birds never were able to
all
fly
birds
because
are.
they're descended from dinosaurs. Those are turkeys and things that can actually fly. So,
So what about
If
penguins?
you're
Are
listening to the
penguins
show,
real?
are birds real or not?
well, big penguins aren't birds; they're mammals.
What?
I don't know. It literally
Yeah.
took me, I don't know, 20 some odd years of my life to realize that penguins were birds. Okay, I don't know why.
Oh my god.
I just somehow in my
Oh,
mind I
wow.
never equated them to being actual birds. As in, like, what's a platypus, right? Is it a bird or a mammal? It lays eggs. It
It's
has
a
bill,
mammal.
but it's a
Well,
mammal,
yeah.
right? So
It's a mammal, but it's
Yeah.
a weird Australian mammal. So,
right, and it
you know.
doesn't
Yeah.
fly, and a penguin doesn't fly.
Yeah.
So I got confused.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Maybe let's get to the news.
Okay, let's go for it. Hold on, let me get the volume back up. There we go, and news.
Star Trek News.
All right. So our first news story comes to us today from trekmovie.com. And they recently did an interview with Riker himself, Jonathan Frakes, who was talking about Star Trek Picard Season 3. Frakes is out there promoting and creating awareness for the Pancreatic Cancer Network, Action Network. So that's why he's out there kind of talking right now. He did mention in the interview that Riker is going to be heavily involved in Season 3. In fact, he's in every episode. Not
Yeah.
necessarily for a long time, but he is in every episode, he said.
Good.
Okay.
Good,
So that's
good.
cool. They also asked him just about like what we can expect in the show, to which he says there is kind of a Crimson Tide moment between himself and Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard.
Really?
Yes.
Crimson Tide. Are we talking about Georgia, or what are we talking about? I don't understand.
It's a submarine movie.
There's a movie, and I think it's been a long time since I've seen it, but there are some scenes where the captain and the first officer of the submarine are not in agreement whether
Yeah.
to launch nuclear missiles or something like that.
Mm.
hmm
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's an intense exchange between them. So, yes, there is a Crimson Tide moment, he says. Also goes on to say
Not
that...
a red wave. I know that's what you
No,
thought.
not a
No,
red
A
wave.
red
no.
wave,
No.
a crimson tide.
Well,
Different
when I heard
tide.
Crimson Tide, all of a sudden that came to my into mind. Actually, was football. Roll Tide or something.
Oh, yeah,
I
Roll
don't-
Tide. That makes
you know,
sense.
I,
yeah.
that's what I was thinking of with football, and then I was thinking of
Yeah.
Georgia and Alabama, and I don't know. So
Okay.
my mind went the wrong direction.
Yeah.
All
He
right.
also mentioned that at the New York Comic Con, Patrick Stewart did drop in front of the audience that Patrick Stewart is ready to do another movie. So, yeah. Take that for what you will, but Riker says, yeah, he'll follow the captain. He'll do another movie.
Yeah.
Of course he will. Yeah, so whatever. Also,
Yeah,
So-
I remember seeing that. I think all of them were on stage together when that happened.
right.
So
And they were all kind of like, yeah.
it really should shut him up. Really should shut him up because that means that he's not dead at the end of season 3.
Well, to go with that, he talked a little bit about if they would do a spin-off from Picard, to which he says the way it ends, it definitely, like, there could be more adventures. So,
Oh, for crying out loud.
yeah.
It's like these people who make a movie that's fantastic, and they're so excited about it that they make a trailer that tells you the entire movie in 2.5 minutes. So now you don't really care to see it anymore, right? It's like,
I don't know. He hasn't said anything.
we don't know much about
They've
it.
said
really.
enough.
Yeah.
He's not dead at the end of the season, right? That's bad enough as it is, right? I mean, seriously,
like-
right? Because it's supposed to be the last season, and when you keep talking about it as being the last season, and now all of a sudden you're like, well, I could keep going. Well, I could do a movie. Well, okay, well now it's not the last fucking season anymore, is it? Sorry, pardon my language.
Yeah, but like when you walk into a Batman movie, you already know going in he's going to beat the Joker. It's how does he?
Well,
do it?
that's Batman. And no, actually, if you ever watched a Christopher Nolan, you're not really sure he's going to win.
fair.
But I mean, but that's Batman, because if Batman dies, they just reboot it with another Batman. They're not going to reboot this with another Picard, right? I mean, that would
You
be
know what?
suicide.
I mean,
The best Star Wars movie ever made was The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, all of our heroes are in shambles, and you know there's another movie coming. That
Sure.
doesn't make it any less of a good film.
But there's a huge
So-
difference between that, because it was the second movie, and we kind of knew they weren't done at that point, and a season 3 of Picard where they've said up to this point over and over again, that's it, we're done.
Uh-huh.
Right? Right?
That's what they've never flat out said that's it, we're done. They said that's it, Patrick's done.
Right. Right. That's what I mean. The show's called Picard, and Patrick's done. So I mean,
Patrick also told me personally back in 2012, and I wish I could find the recording. He told me that he was done with Star Trek. So I mean,
I remember you.
Right.
I guess
Yep.
the big takeaway is Patrick's a big fat liar. So you know,
He should play Pinocchio
Indeed.
next.
you know.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's just my take on it. It's a little.
Yeah.
I find it annoying. I find the state of these kinds of drops and hints and everything else just freaking annoying. Like, just give us a little bit of mystery, please. In life nowadays, we seem to like know everything before we even get the thing, and I just wish we didn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of knowing a thing, another story from trekmovie.com, and another thing we now know is that Star Trek Mission Seattle 2023, that convention has been canceled.
yeah.
It was some bad news. They have decided not to do that. Reed Pop made the announcement earlier this week. I kind of did a little bit of digging into this. The convention center that it was going to be held at is currently under construction, so that could have played a factor, potentially. On top of that, however, this year they were supposed to have a Star Trek London in September. They canceled that as well, and that was going to be the final convention for Massive Events, the official license holder over in Europe. So there's no more official Star Trek conventions in Europe as of now. I'm sure someone will pick up the license eventually, but right now, no.
There's no one in the United States either.
There's no one in the United States. And then the only official licensed Star Trek event happening in 2023 is Star Trek The Cruise 4. That will be going to Mexico.
Mm.
So, and that's
So there's no Chicago like last year.
No.
Chicago was supposed to be Seattle.
Okay.
It's the same.
They're going to
organization.
rotate it around, which I guess means
Yeah, they
the
were
only
gonna
real
rotate.
convention that we know of right now is going to be the same old STLV.
Right, and that's an unofficial convention.
Correct.
But,
Which begs the
yeah.
question: do we go there?
Well,
I
we should
mean-
probably save some of this for during our topic
Yeah,
conversation
yeah,
because
I
I
agree.
think
Yeah.
it's
I agree.
I think it's connected.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's connected.
Yep.
So stay tuned. Stay tuned, listeners, for
That's
more
right.
on
Yep.
this
Like and subscribe to find
riveting
out more.
story.
Yeah. After these commercials,
Yes. Yeah. So that was a big thing, and I thought we should bring that up. And our last news story comes to us from Trek Central, and a company has called what they are dubbing a real life tricorder, with some caveats. So this company called Identity Sensors Biologics has created, yes. That is part of it, Dan. A smartphone is part of it.
yeah,
I just held up a smartphone for those
Yes,
listening to
yes.
the audio version.
yeah,
Yes. So it is a little handheld device. The little handheld device has got like a little Here, tell you what. Let me send you this link, Chad. I'll send it to you in the Facebook link or chat. So
Okay.
if you want to pull it up to show people. to better see this. So this little device, it looks like it's a little handheld. It's got a little screen at the top, and it's got a little part where you slot in different what they call cartridges. The cartridges is what do the testing for any illness. But the way the system works is you take a swab of your saliva, you put it into the cartridge, then you put the cartridge into the machine, and that's what reads and tells you what's wrong with you. It's sent it as a message to your smartphone on an app so that it's all private and everything. Part of what kind of doesn't necessarily make it a tricorder, though, is it's not like these cartridges test for every possible illness or a lot of them. It's specific to what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a flu or corona type virus, you need that cartridge. If you're looking for something else, then you would need the cartridge that corresponds with that. So it's not quite a tricorder, but it's very much the 8-track to the eventual MP3 player.
You might say it's a monocorder.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I mean, one of the things we talked about before the show started with things like this, it is a beginning or a step, right, towards something, which is always funny in technology, where we think technology is going to progress and what people, predict is going to happen in the next 10 or 20 years is so vastly different from what actually does come about. So, for instance, in TNG, everybody had pads everywhere, stacks of pads all over the place, right?
Yep.
And today, even by the beginning of probably by 2005, all of those pads could have fit in one Kindle because those pads mostly didn't even have video playing on them either. Like a Kindle could have handled it, and nowadays the whole thing, thousands of them can fit into an iPhone, let alone an iPad, right? So, or a tablet. So, and the tablets are so cheap, and they're everywhere. I mean, they're just everywhere. You can get a tablet for $100 nowadays. Not a very good one, but at least a tablet that you could watch movies on or pull up text like you could on the pads from TNG. So we've progressed way beyond that technology, but yet on the medical side, we kind of haven't. Tricorders really, a real tricorder is so far off, it's not even funny. Even the scanners that Bones would use way back in the day in the 50s or in the 60s anyway, those types of scanners are not available. A biobed is we're nowhere near a biobed, but yet we can 3D print organs, right? We can actually 3D print somebody's ear to replace on their body.
I'm waiting for a bantha tank.
What's that?
I'm waiting for a bantha tank, the ones from Star Wars.
Oh, a bacta tank?
Yeah. Just throw them in some water, and I'm sure that'll be fine.
Yeah.
You said a bantha tank, which a bantha.
That's the animals.
Yes, that's like a big giant animal. So I'm like, all right, he wants to swim with elephants.
I didn't understand that either. About? Yeah, I was like, it's some kind of fantasy that Daniel has. I didn't want to go there.
It's the internet. I'll say what I want.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting. I mean, we're closer to a holodeck than we are some of this other stuff. In fact, you could say we have holodecks now, really, with VR. You just have to have a headset, HoloLens and all that. But maybe not as good as a holodeck, but it's close. So it's just funny where the technology progresses and where it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of people say we're on the curve of a biotech type revolution, but I've heard that for 20 years.
It's a Stone Age tricorder.
Yeah, as Bones would say, giving somebody a pill to cure diabetes. So
there you go.
We're in the Stone Ages.
That's all the news stories for today.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah,
we're done with the news, so I guess we're going into the topic.
It's the main topic.
Short and sweet.
Right.
Okay. So, of course, the main topic this week is Star Trek in trouble? So,
So this is kind of stemming from the cancellation of that convention,
and the cancellation of Star Trek 4.
Right.
In the movies, movie theaters.
Yeah. Well, it's not canceled officially, but they keep punting it.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that them having to switch up Star Trek 4 like they have so far, whatever they're doing with it, is what is indicative of it being in trouble. I would say the way they went about it and how they're managing it right now is indicative of how maybe they're in trouble. Right. Is in the managing of it.
Yes.
Because that was pretty crappy. Like, what the I mean,
Yeah.
that was pretty
they
bad.
completely surprised everybody.
That was pretty bad. I mean, I think they probably surprised half their own staff. It's like, what?
Yeah.
There couldn't be there had to be multiple people inside that boardroom, or at least around the decision makers, who looked at one another and said, "What the are we doing?"
Yeah.
Like they had to
Yeah.
have been. They
Yeah.
can't all be that completely blinded by whatever. You know, a lot of these things inside of a boardroom like that tend to become an echo chamber. There's one or two people that have all the power and all the sway, and everybody else is there just hoping everybody else makes the right decision so they can make money and then go back to whatever else they do when they're not sitting in a boardroom, right? So, because they don't even really work at the company, they're just on the board. They own shares, whatever. So yeah, it becomes an echo chamber.
I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. You know,
Star
I just
Trek
looked
4,
it up because I just looked it up because I was curious because I forgot what year Star Trek Beyond came out, but it was 2000. It was 2016. So
Yeah.
I mean, we're coming up on a 7-year gap between these, and even if they started making the movie tomorrow, it's going to take them 2 years.
Right.
Okay, so 7, 8, 9. So we're talking about a decade. The only time we've had a gap that long is between TOS and the motion picture.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had a Star Trek gap that well. I mean, we technically don't have one right now because there's shows on the air. But okay, but once the motion picture came out, we had 1979. Then it was 82 for Wrath of Khan. 84. Yeah. I think it was 84 for Search for Spock. 86 for The Voyage Home. 88 for The Final Frontier. I think it was 91 for The Undiscovered Country.
Yep.
Generations was 1994. 1996 was First Contact. 98 was Insurrection. And then 2002
Nemesis
for Nemesis. So I mean, there's a big gap there, 4 years. Right. And in 2002 to 2009, that's 7 years. We're there already.
Yeah, but if you look at that gap in that last one between Nemesis and Insurrection, there was real world politics is part of the reason why there was such a large gap too, between 98 and 2002.
Yeah,
that caused that more so than anything else. But because I remember there even being some discussion about some rewrites of like dozens and dozens of movies at that time, because of 9/11. But at any rate, I mean, me personally, I love the Pine series, the JJ series. I do love it. The second movie was just horrendous and made me scream like the liberal lady when Trump got elected. Blood. But yeah, exactly. But I liked Beyond. I really enjoyed. I've watched it several times. I enjoy Beyond. It's not horrible. It's not the best, but it's not horrible. I like Jayla. And I like some of those funny little interactions with Bones and Spock.
You know, it's sad. I'm a huge Trekkie, and you're like, I like Jayla, and I'm sitting here like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, that was the white and black faced lady that they found on that planet who was on the ship, and she sits in the captain's chair and puts her foot over it and everything. And
she had squatters' rights on the ship.
She had squatters' rights on the ship. It was hysterical when Pine is just sitting there looking at it going, that's my chair.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, this is good music. It's really, there was I don't know. There's some fun scenes in that. It is what it is.
I'll have to watch it again for Chad.
Yeah, just watch it again.
I'll do it for you, Chad. Do it for you.
When they told Carol Marcus that you're family, and then she didn't appear in the next movie.
Right. Yeah, even though she took her clothes off, right? I mean,
right.
That still didn't get her anywhere.
She was at Olive Garden with Vin Diesel. She has an excuse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I did point it out to our social media. Like is Star Trek in trouble, and I got quite a few reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Most people said that basically that it's okay, but it could be a lot better right now. that's the general gist of what everybody said.
Yeah.
So
If you take Strange New Worlds out of the equation, I think that sentiment would be vastly different.
Yeah.
So I do have some numbers pulled to kind of give us an idea.
This is
of
interesting.
where we're at with Star Trek. Yes.
Yeah, the numbers opened my eyes. Go for it, Daniel. Sorry.
Yeah. So originally, when this new renaissance, this new Trek, as people have called it, when Star Trek Discovery aired, it first aired on CBS in 2017. If you guys remember, it was the first 2 episodes, and then the rest would go to CBS All Access, which became Paramount Plus.
Right.
Yep.
So people were very excited for it. It debuted with 9.6 million viewers, which is a lot for a network show right now.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Eventually, after what they call delayed viewings, which is up to 7 days delayed, like DVRs and all that, it had over 15 million. So that is huge. That is a big, big splash.
Yeah.
Later, if you remember, during the pandemic, they did re-air the first season of Discovery on CBS because they just needed new content since all productions were shut down at the time. So Discovery aired on CBS from September 24th, 2020 to February 4th, 2021, where it averaged only 1.7 million. So big drop from where it was, which the whole thing had already been on CBS All Access. The hardcore people had already watched it.
Yeah.
So there are those caveats.
Those aren't bad numbers. Those aren't bad numbers, though, for a series that's 3 years old, just premiering again.
Right.
So
now let's go back to the original premiere, which garnered originally 9.6 million, and then over time, over 7 days, 15 million.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, the Orville was also still on Fox.
Oh,
and that was getting 8.6 million viewers on average. So Star Trek was still above it, but just barely.
Right.
By like a million or so viewers. So that gives us an idea of the popularity. Other things to consider. There is a online company called Parrot Analytics. They track social media mentions of shows. Since CBS or Paramount, Disney Plus, all those, Netflix, we don't get hard numbers from them, right? We don't know how many viewers a show have, right? So we have to get educated guesses. So Parrot Analytics is considered the gold standard, and they just track the social media mentions. So for Star Trek, it is all the shows, Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy, Strange New Worlds, all of them rank much higher than the average TV show by significant amounts. Discovery is 14.2 times higher mentioned than the average TV show. Picard is 20.5 times. Lower Decks is 19.7 times. So they're all pretty big shows. Strange New Worlds is 17.5. So that's huge. But then I decided, okay, those are good numbers. That shows popularity and mentions at least. But that doesn't account for people saying this show is trash or I hate this show.
Right.
It's just mentioned, right? So then I thought, okay, well, we need to compare this to similar things so then we have an idea where the levels are, right?
Yeah.
So I looked at The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is in the top tier at 33.5% or times higher mentions than the average show.
So double that of Trek. Yeah.
Double that of Trek.
Yeah.
Andor is 31.8 right now.
Yep.
Of course, Andor is live right now, and it's a 30-day average. So the other Trek shows really aren't going, except Prodigy. Prodigy's a kid's show, and kids really aren't on social media like adults are.
Right.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
However, though, one of the biggest ones out there, and I was surprised by this because I thought, okay, if these are all getting mentioned higher than the average shows, what's an average show doing, right? Because this is tracking anything, right? This is tracking like Sesame Street. This is tracking like Judge Judy.
NCIS, Law and Order,
yeah,
whatever.
all of that.
General Hospital.
So funny you mentioned Law and Order. because that's what I looked up.
Yeah.
Law
I
and Order
figured. Yeah.
SVU.
Mm-hmm.
Law and Order and SVU is 30.4 times higher than the average TV show. So it blows Star Trek out of the water. It's neck and neck with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
That's why
That's
they've made
right.
19 different versions of it.
right.
Now, do they have? Where are they having SVU Con this year?
It's basically in every major American city, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any given time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
The Orville was 22.6 times higher than the average show.
Yeah.
So Star Trek of all of these is lower, but still higher than most shows. So like
Okay.
it's going to beat out your like Swamp People or Honey Boo Boo. You know,
Honey Boo Boo is so like 2015, man. It's like
But don't
now
they
it's
have
like
another
the
show? Don't-
Married at First Sight and Naked and Afraid and
God.
Yeah. Flip My House, all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's the kind of things it's beating.
All the Lifetime Hallmark. It's beginning to look like Christmas shows that I have to
Yes.
watch on repeat in my TV in the front living room. I
That's
mean,
right.
God, just hang me down.
You can't wait.
God.
Yes. So then I thought, okay, let's look at something else. So something a little bit more concrete. And as Yogurt taught us in Spaceballs, it's all about the merchandise.
Merchandising.
Yes.
Merchandising.
That's where the film makes its real money.
And we have none. So
Well, let's look at the numbers.
okay.
So I went on Amazon. Amazon doesn't give you like a hard number that I could find, like total number of listings, but it gives you an idea. So Marvel has over 100,000 listings on Amazon.
Of course.
Anything
yeah.
that mentions Marvel. Star Wars has over 100,000 listings on Amazon. Star Trek has over 10,000. So a tenth of the other two.
Yeah.
So
That's not a surprise.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's
where
been
we're
for
at with
forever.
things.
That's the way it's
Yeah.
been for forever. And I don't know what it is about the franchise itself that makes it so damn difficult for merchandising. I really don't.
Because I'll tell you right now, okay? Because it's not a kids show. Even though they came out with Prodigy, even though they're trying to market it as a kids show, it's not a kids show. It was never a kids show. Even when they did the animated series back in the 70s, that wasn't for kids. I mean, kids watched it, but it was an animated fourth season of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It was for the same people who were watching Star Trek all along. And for that reason, nobody's buying Star Trek toothbrushes for kids. Nobody's buying, Star Trek cookie cutters for kids. Nobody's buying Star Trek children-sized sunglasses. You walk through Walmart, and I mean, they have put Baby Yoda and Mando on
Everything.
The stupid poppets that are supposed to be like
for like ADHD and
it's supposed to be like bubble wrap, but reusable or whatever. I mean, they have them in the shape of the Mandalorian. I mean, they literally just look on the end caps. Look on the end caps in Walmart where like all the odds and end garbage goes. Sippy cups with Grogu on them. Nobody is buying a Captain Kirk sippy cup for their kid.
Right.
And the ones that are, they're not buying it for the kid. They're buying it for themselves because I like Star Trek and I think it'll be cute that my kid is drinking out of a Captain Kirk sippy cup.
And the kid doesn't care.
Give two shits.
Yeah,
kid doesn't
Didn't
care.
we get your kid a uniform when she was born?
What's that?
Didn't we get your kid a uniform when she was born? Like a
we got some sort of clothes, I thought.
Yeah, some sort of Star Trek
Something.
little lunch.
Yeah,
but
something. She's
Yeah.
got a.
that
she's
was
got a
for
few-
you to put on her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I have Star Trek children's clothes for my kids. And it was I bought them for the kids, or someone bought them for me for the kids. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's.
I think
that's what it is.
I think
There's a lot of Star Trek merchandise, but it's not for kids. It's for adults.
Well, even the adult merchandise, though, in some way, shapes, and forms. I mean, none of it's for me, really. I mean, other than the few times I collect a ship, right? Because that's about the only thing I do ever purchase when I purchase something, or like a few signs, But if you're gonna, I don't know. I think they missed. I just think they missed the mark. They always miss the mark on merchandising. Period. Right? And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is that they can do that consecutively for 55, 60 years, but they do. They just always have. So
it's a different.
It's a different demographic that they should really be marketing to, and they're not.
It's a different. No, they're doing it right. They're doing it right because I don't think the kids are going to buy those things. I don't think the kids are going to ask their parents to buy those things. Back in the 90s, there were Star Trek toys everywhere, and it wasn't kids buying them; it was adults buying them. Okay, and this is evidenced by the fact that if you go on eBay right now and you search for Star Trek Playmates toys, okay, you will see tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of listings for 1990s Star Trek action figures, and they're all in the package. It's easier to find them in the package than to find them loose because so many adults bought them and hung them on the wall and never opened them. Whereas any other vintage toys, it's easier to find them loose because the kids bought them, opened them up, played with them. They turned 13. They went in the Rubbermaid tote in the garage. And when they went to college, mom sold them in the yard sale.
Yeah.
So here's something interesting. I just decided to type this into Etsy, right? Because Etsy is more handmade products.
Yep.
You know, it's not manufactured like the others. So when I look up Star Wars things, we get over 262,000 listings. Star Trek, on the other hand, only has 22,000.
Sure.
So again, like a tenth of it.
Right.
So that's interesting because I guess my thesis going into this was that Etsy's more for adults and maybe we would have more stuff. Apparently not.
Etsy is more handmade items too, so I don't think that's a fair indicator because theoretically, since they're handmade items, everything on there is unlicensed. It's supposed to be unlicensed, so they shouldn't be selling those things on there, and probably a bunch of those listings get shut down from time to time as well, or at least should,
maybe.
But
so let me ask you this: is maybe the problem with Star Trek not that the merchandising is bad, but maybe Star Trek just isn't cool? Like Star Wars is cool because they have laser swords, explosion, and shooting. Whereas Star Trek, it's like we're gonna talk diplomacy and learn about each other, and
it's definitely a more cerebral show than it is a Star Wars, right? So I wouldn't say that it's I mean, I'm sure it's a little nerdy, right? It's not as cool as Mando, and it's not as cool as Andor, and it's not as cool as explosions and laser swords, right?
Or Marvel.
It's not as popular, right? Maybe I wouldn't say it's not as cool, but it's definitely not as popular. I mean, that's all we've known that for forever, right? We all get that, but I think the problem with the merchandising revolves more around of again how they go about it. And I'm not disagreeing that it's not a kids show and that the kids merchandising is always going to be as a collectible or whatever else. I'm not arguing that. But what I am saying is if I was running the IP for Star Trek, right, and I was going to take over the merchandising aspect of it, I would stop. Like all of it, 100%. There would be nothing anywhere for Star Trek merch anywhere. Period. Nothing. You couldn't buy a damn thing unless it came directly from, Paramount, whatever their portal was going to be, right? No Amazon, no nothing licensed anywhere at all, and it would come directly from them, and then it would start to be very slow. It would start with hoodies, shirts, whatever, for adults, not kids, just adults. It would start very slow, and then every so often we would release a collection of ships or a collection of specially branded tablets that had an LCAR skin, like actually in the damn tablet, right? So it could look like a real, useful thing that you would get on the show. It would be props from, replicas of props and stuff used that people could get as collectibles, and I would keep it nice, tight, and small and confined. So therefore, the scarcity would create the want for it, and not have it spread out over just God knows what.
I think you got to be careful doing something like that, because the less that's out there, the less people see, and the less people see, the less they stay interested.
You don't see it in Target right now anyway. You don't see it in Walmart right now anyway.
Well, you're starting to, because they're re-releasing the Playmates toys. Like there are some of it now, but
yeah,
even now, like I was reading about how cartoons, they're not really making as many cartoons for kids, period, because cartoons, part of what made them so profitable was the toys. But kids don't really watch cartoons and want toys. They want to play Roblox or Minecraft.
Correct.
And buy their digital toys on there. Which
is one smart thing they did. They made the Prodigy game. I haven't played it yet. I don't know, but that was a very smart thing that they did there. And if they, that's the other thing they're missing, right? Is the gaming side of it. They're missing that big time, because some of these games they've come out with recently are just totally crap. Even the little tap one that I play on the phone every once in a while, that's actually the best one they've made in a long time, because it's got Boimler and it's got Tawny. It's got all of them in there, and it's got their characters. It's got dialogue you can read, and it's kind of like a miniature little show. That part's kind of fun.
If they made like a learn to code game, like an educational game that kids could play like on tablets or something, that would be kind of cool, because it fits Star Trek. It's educational, but then it's also like it could bring interest into the franchise by having the characters there and stuff like that.
Right, but I mean, I get that. That's fine. But I would think bigger. I mean, they probably missed the boat, because I don't know of anybody that plays Fortnite anymore. But they should have done a crossover with Fortnite and had like Khan, and he has a special weapon in the game, or they have Kirk and he has special abilities in the game, or they have Spock and he has a tricorder and he could scan people and see where everybody's like abilities that would pull over from Trek, or something like that, right? It is a fun little action type of thing. I think they missed the boat on that. And Minecraft is still extraordinarily popular. They should really have some skins or something that gets co-branded with Minecraft. I mean,
I don't think they're going to care, though. I just don't think it's a kids show.
Kids don't play Minecraft.
Yeah.
I mean, some kids do, but I mean,
no, my son plays Minecraft.
Right. But I'm saying, there's a lot of 20-year-olds that are playing Minecraft.
Yeah. But I mean, so even looking back, when I was a kid, I was always aware of Star Trek. I was always aware that it was a thing. Mm-hmm. I was 10 years old when TNG came out. I was aware that it was a thing. I didn't really care until I was in my teens.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I don't think the formula, space exploration and diplomacy and some occasional lasers and torpedoes, I don't know. I just don't think the formula interests kids, and I don't think it ever will.
No, but I mean,
and maybe they should stop trying to be something
that they're not.
That they're not.
Yeah,
and even
with that said,
the 2009 movie, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. There was a bunch of press for it. It made a bunch of money. Those toys sat on the shelf for years.
Yeah.
After that.
With that said, though, Trek Legos. Every adult would buy Trek Legos.
So they did make something like that for quite a while. It wasn't Legos, but it was some other brand.
Some knockoff.
Hasbro
right?
Hasbro had the license when Star Trek Into Darkness came out, and there was another company called Creo, which was it was a Lego compatible.
Yeah, brand. That's right. And they had Transformers and.
Yep, Hasbro partnered with them. There were Star Trek ones. There was Transformers. There was G.I. Joe. I have the Enterprise from Into Darkness. I have the Klingon Bird of Prey from Into Darkness. They are Lego compatible. The quality they're just as good as Legos, and they sat on the shelf forever.
Yeah, because it's not a Lego.
Well, you know what? Mega Bloks Mega Bloks is the same thing. That's Mattel's version of Legos, and they sell extremely well.
Yeah.
They have Masters of the Universe. They have Pokemon. They have Halo. They have Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I mean, they sell
Again,
a bunch of those things.
For kids. What if you had a Technics version
I don't know.
What if you had a Technics version of it?
I don't know if the kids are buying Masters of the Universe Mega Bloks. I don't know.
No,
if
the
it's
adults
kids
are
that
for their
I know
kids.
one kid on this show that buys Masters of the Universe. Yeah.
Man.
That's right. That's right. That Snake Mountain took a week and a half.
Yep.
to
Yep.
build.
Yep. But again, that was just as much for you as it was your
That's
kid.
what I'm saying.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what I'm getting at. An adult isn't going to go and buy, most adults anyway, the majority of adults aren't going to go and buy that and also be able to use it for their kids. They're going to go and buy like a Lego one, like the Architect series of Legos, right? And Lego has a huge base of those types of people who collect those things versus a Playmobil or whatever else. So I don't know. I just think there's go back and look at when we were at Chicago and we saw those PCs they were selling that were literally the shape of a board cube and had the lights and everything on it as a board cube. That's a fantastic idea. I'd never seen anything like that before. I'd never noticed that anywhere. That's a fantastic idea. And if they made a game right now called Starfleet Builder and the only thing you did in that game was build Starfleet ships, holy shit, I'd buy that in a heartbeat, and I'd spend money on it. I mean, like, serious. Like, that would be a blast to be able to do that as a game in some way, shape, or form. Like, they're just missing out on the gaming side as well, big time. If
they did like a flight simulator that was all starships.
Well, they had something like that way back in the day in the 90s. Armada, was it Starfleet Armada, and Armada 2? I mean, and then they made all these games, and a few of them were crap, and a few of them were okay. There was the Star Trek New Horizons, which was fantastic, but then they didn't even finish it because they ran out of money or something, and then they published it as a beta, and it would work half the time. And when it worked, it was great. When it didn't work, obviously, it just really drove me nuts. But if they'd have just finished that game and released it or patched it or done something, it would have been incredible. It was an incredible game. It even had the plot line of you were establishing a new colony on a new planet close to the neutral zone or changing borders of the neutral zone, where it was going to be like almost like a Maquis kind of scenario. And it was great. It was fantastic. And so you had to build up a base. You had shuttles going in forward. You had replicators and mining for dilithium. And I mean, it was fantastic. And you look at all the building type of games we have nowadays that take off and go nuts, like City Skylines for a decade now. All kinds of building. There's even building in Fortnite. There's building in No Man's Sky. There's always building of something.
But even with everything that we're talking about, I still go back to the problem is Star Trek isn't cool. Because, like, they do have some products, right? Like, but I wouldn't feel cool busting out my Federation wallet as I would my Batman wallet, It's just not as socially acceptable. Revere, right?
Oh, I get that. I get that.
Until you reach a certain age where you don't give a shit.
Don't care.
You don't give a shit.
Yeah. I wear my Starfleet stuff out, and I see when people notice it and they shoot me a nod or shoot me the Vulcan salute or whatever. But
it's almost an underground subculture at that point, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then the other problem is you go from that age where you don't care anymore what other people think to, well, I don't want this stuff around too much. You know what I mean? Like it's not as interesting to you in that respect. Like you appreciate the shows, you appreciate the books and all that.
Yeah.
So where do you think this Seattle cancellation fits in to all of this, if it does? What are your thoughts on that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Chad. Go ahead.
So I get comments about my Darth Vader debit card.
Yes.
That's hilarious. No, so I think the cancellation of the show speaks more about what they were looking at and what they got back in Chicago versus what they still see at Comic-Cons and STLV. And then whatever happened in London happened in London. But
Yeah.
I think Paramount is looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, we wanted to have control over these shows. We have control over the IP. We have control over the actors and who can go and talk and say what. And we want to earn the extra side money off of those things if they're going to be big and profitable events. And Chicago probably was not profitable for them. That probably wasn't. There was not very many people there. On the day we were there for the majority of the day, it was not packed. It was not big. So they obviously didn't plan for it to be big, but at the same time, I'm curious of whether or not they look at that and said, well, that wasn't profitable. Why are we going to turn around and do that again in London, for crying out loud? Why are we going to do that in Seattle?
Yeah.
Like, it's too much. That's but then they look at the mainline shows that have always been there, like Comic-Cons, they can just show up to and not have to spend a whole ton of time on. They can just show up to STLV, or just not show up to STLV, whatever. But just do it at Comic-Cons for now. And so I think from that standpoint, that was probably what their thought process was. That's kind of what I see from the outside anyway. But I don't know if it necessarily ties into is Trek in trouble, because going back off of what Daniel was saying, I did go and look up ratings, as many different places as I could find. Screen Rant, IBM, Rotten Tomatoes, all these different places. And I was actually shocked at how high Picard and Discovery rank overall and what their ratings were overall compared to what my thought process is on those two shows. I mean, almost always Picard and Discovery rank higher than Enterprise with Bakula. Like, I realized that wasn't the greatest of greatest shows, but what the hell? How is Discovery ranking higher than that? I can kind of see Picard from the standpoint of everybody loves Jean-Luc, so whatever. But really, when you go back and you look at their ratings, like on IMDb, like nothing has a rating lower than 7.1 out of 10.
Right.
Nothing does. And Picard had like an 8.7, and Discovery had like an 8.2. Enterprise had the 7.1, and it's like, man, that's incredible. And you just go and look at their rankings, even over on Screen Rant. Picard was like 5 out of all the series, and Discovery was 6 out of all the series.
I listen to a lot of movie and TV podcasts, and the ones that are not big in Trek, but just regular average people, they all loved Picard, every season of Picard.
Yeah.
They thought it was fantastic.
Non-Trekkies,
but like all the
typically.
Non-Trekkies. And they love Discovery as well, non-Trekkies.
If you were coming into Picard and had never really watched any Trek at all and weren't really sure what this was all about, and you watched it probably did come across as a very well-done show from the standpoint of you didn't know these characters' background or history. It looked good.
Right.
It was interesting. It would be very mysterious to you because you wouldn't have a clue who any of these people are.
Right.
So there's that, I guess. And if enough people like that are watching it, then...
from Paramount's perspective, mission accomplished then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they were looking to broaden the fan base, not just keep serving the same people.
And with all of our
and
with all of our bashing on Discovery, we've often said that if it weren't for Discovery, we wouldn't get Strange New Worlds, right?
Yeah,
so I mean,
so back to the Seattle thing.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a prediction. You know, I like to do this. I like to make predictions.
Somebody write this down. Gentry, write this down.
I think what they did, I think they didn't renew the license with Creation. They said we're going to do this in-house. They did it in-house, and they quickly realized that it's a lot of work for not much of a return. And I think we're going to hear very soon that they're going to make another agreement with Creation. They're going to renew their old contract or make a new contract.
Yeah.
You know, maybe with a little more control. Maybe, you know, they'll have some control about, you know, which guests appear when and in what capacity and what announcements are going to be made. But I think if I was at Paramount at this point, I'd be looking back and saying, you know, we put a lot of work, we put a lot of time, we put a lot of money into this. We didn't get it right. We didn't improve on what was already being done. And they've been doing it for 30 years for us. Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, exactly.
Sense.
At some point, somewhere someone inside of that organization is going to be a bean counter and realize these beans don't add up anymore. And
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with letting the people who've been doing it for this long just continue to frickin' do it, right? This goes back to the old adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I do remember being at Chicago, and we were there on Saturday, which is typically the biggest day of a convention. And I was surprised by how little of people were there.
Yeah.
Like you could easily get anywhere you wanted to. It wasn't a problem.
Well, it wasn't even that big of a hall either.
They also spaced things out because we were still coming out of the pandemic and whatnot. So I don't think that's fair because, having been to these things before, there was a lot of empty space in that room.
There was.
So I think they did
true.
that on purpose. Which, that probably had a negative effect as well because people who did go are walking out saying, well, that was kind of sparsely attended.
Right.
When, if it was in a room a quarter of the size, they would have walked out saying, wow, that place was packed.
And I would say that out of all of the demographics of all of these different types of shows we've been talking about, whether it's Star Wars, Marvel, or Trek, the Trek crowd, the Trek group, was definitely more in line with everybody better mask up and stay home and not leave your home and do all than the majority of the population, or at least a typical survey of the population would be.
Right.
They would skew more towards
that for sure.
than anything else.
Yeah,
however you want to
fair.
read that, I think that's true. So
No, I would agree with that. So I guess consensus: do we think Star Trek is in trouble, or what are you thinking?
I really don't. And I could give you my breakdown of why. But Dan, you look like you're about to say something. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I don't think it's in trouble. I think maybe Star Trek at the movie theater is in trouble, but that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay because I've said it before. It's always worked better as a TV show than a movie. I would rather have multiple series each year going than a movie every 2 or 3 years.
I agree. I mean, at this point, I don't go to the movies anymore. Why?
Right.
I haven't been to a movie theater. I think once this year. I went to the movie theater. That's it. I don't really have any desire to ever go back again. I don't care.
I go whenever I can.
Yeah.
Whenever I can, because there's just something about when it gets dark and the tunnel vision and just being somewhere else for 2 hours.
No, I get that.
I'll tell you what. I feel like I have less opportunities to do that. I feel like every week I pull up the app on my phone to see what's at the theater. What can I go see?
Nothing.
And I said, I don't want to see any of these.
Yeah.
And then I look the next week and I go, I don't want to see any of these. I mean, I saw Black Panther last week. I saw Black Adam the month before.
Yeah.
But before that, I can't remember.
So Rambo in our
Thunder.
Rambo in our Discord chat says certain movies require a theater experience. I have a home theater.
That's right.
I have the theater experience at home.
Yeah, that's why I went and saw Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
And I can pause it and go to the bathroom and not miss anything. And I can pop my own popcorn and I can make it as dark as I want and yada, yada, yada with the surround sound and the whole 9 yards. Yeah, I don't have to pay $15 a ticket and I already get it on streaming.
It's still not a movie theater. I don't care how big your screen is. It's not a movie screen.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, and there's certain movies. I have certain memories of certain. I remember seeing Saving Private Ryan in a theater.
Yep.
When it came out, and those D-Day scenes where they're landing on the beach.
Brutal.
Oh my God.
That was hard.
My God.
That was hard.
Yeah.
And I've seen the movie since several times. I've seen it on, at home. It's not the same. It doesn't hit the same.
I agree. I completely agree. Even with a home theater setup and all of that, I completely agree that for certain movies like that, correct. I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm also saying though that the number of movies like that nowadays is so few and far between that it's the number of times I'm going to go to the theater anymore. I don't care. Yeah. Now, I say all that, and I may go see Avatar in the theater just because it's Avatar. And I remember seeing it when it first came out, and I took my little brother with me, and he was just ecstatic, and we saw it on a huge, IMAX type screen in 3D, and it was fantastic, and it was an awesome, wild 3D experience. I don't even know if they're releasing the damn thing in 3D this time around or not.
Well, and I think the other thing to remember is a lot of those very CGI intensive films are being delayed right now because they're so CGI intensive. The FX houses are just so backed up right now.
Yeah.
It's why, like, we didn't get The Flash this year, or we barely got Black Adam this year. Like, they originally thought it would be delayed until 2023.
See, I haven't even watched Black Adam. I've started and stopped Thor: Love and Thunder about 5 times, and it's such a crazy freaking movie that I just can't even. I have a hard time following it. It's just totally nuts. Like, everybody is in that movie. There's a total kitchen sink feel to it. I don't quite get it. Like, all of a sudden, there's Matt Damon as an actor on a stage, and he's even trying to in another. Like, I got that was kind of funny. It went a little too long, but then like a few minutes later, here he is coming again after a tragedy, being like, "Can I make a play out of this right now?" And it's like, dude, that was a joke 10 minutes ago, and now you just look like an idiot. Get out of here. What is Matt Damon doing?
He's a reoccurring character. He was in the last one too.
I know, but like, come on, this is like,
it's amazing that Paramount was able to one film that was very CGI intensive. I don't know if you guys saw it. It's on Paramount Plus right now. Blue's Big City Adventure.
Oh God!
Blue's film.
God.
So thank God they were able to do
Lord.
that at least.
Paw Patrol.
Yeah, it's the Paw Patrol movie that's on there for sure.
Anyway,
all right.
No. So I mean, from my
Dan's
perspective,
like enough with this.
yeah. So no, I'm gonna say from my
It's after
perspective,
12.
yeah, exactly. We've gone for an hour. From my perspective, Trek is not in trouble. Trek is doing just fine. It has its issues. It has its things it needs to improve and work on, as with anything. I would even say that about Marvel. And I would even say that about Star Wars, although Andor, man, that's a fantastic show. I cannot wait for this. I mean, this is the first time in a long time when I've been watching a series where I've been so damn excited and cannot wait for the next episode. Very long time, as in Strange New Worlds.
Oh, Dan's got things to say now.
So, but with that said, you look at the ratings for Discovery, you look at the ratings for Picard. I was very shocked about how high those rate. I was very surprised by that. I guess I'd never really paid attention or looked at those before. So I would say overall, Trek is in very good shape. A lot of room for improvement, but it's in good shape. Go for it, Dan. What are you going to say about Andor?
So 1 week ago today, I was talking about, I'll watch it at some point.
Yeah.
It's just so boring. I can't get through the first episode. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
I watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it because I said, oh, all 10 episodes are out.
Yeah.
All right, let me power through. And it's a great show.
Yes, it is.
I got through the first couple episodes, and I'm like, all right, this is picking up. I'm gonna keep watching. I stayed up all night one night, catching up, right? And then I watch episode 10, and I'm like, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? There's 12 episodes?
Yeah.
Not
So
only
now,
are there 12 episodes, there are 12 more already going for next year. There's 24.
They haven't started shooting yet. They're going to soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So
my point is, I blasted through 10 episodes thinking, I'll binge the whole series, and then come to find out, then I saw the thing, episode 11 coming tomorrow, and I'm like, coming tomorrow? Well, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then episode 12 is this week.
There's one more. Yeah. So there's one more this week.
Yep.
So it's not that bad. It's not that bad that I have to wait.
But boy, it's like, damn, that last one was so good with the spinning lights, the spinning light swords coming out the side of the ship. The way he just disintegrated their front tractor beam was hilarious. It was awesome, and I think that guy is a Jedi or a former Sith or something. I think that guy is a little bit more than meets the eye. He literally had a disguised lightsaber on him in one of his meetings with what's his name, Forrest Whitaker's character.
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, Saul Gerrera. In his meeting with Saul Gerrera, that was a lightsaber he was handing. Yeah, boy, as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's a freaking lightsaber. I mean, it looks like it's wood or something, but it's a lightsaber.
Wasn't that the sword? Wasn't that the sword that he had earlier?
Nope.
It was like an expandable sword?
Nope, that's something different. That looked like a lightsaber to me. Because that was like a
We'll
stick
see.
he had before.
I'm guessing that dude, the what's his name?
The collector guy or whatever, yeah.
The
Eric
dealer, Eric Selvig, yeah.
Yeah, Eric Selvig, yeah.
I'm guessing he dies next episode.
You think
He
so?
gets caught and
I
dies.
don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. His cover's about blown. But
Yeah.
then so's Mon Mothma's, right? Which
Yeah.
she's fantastic. That
Yeah.
just came out of the blue. Like the first couple episodes I saw with her in it, I was like, wait, who the hell is this? And it took me a little while to dawn on me of who that is.
It's the same actress. They've used her a couple times. She was in.
Yeah.
She's in some deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She's so good.
She was in Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
I think
good.
she's done the voice in the cartoons as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering
That's
if we're going to see Bail Organa. If we're going to see Jimmy Smits, I would like to see him again.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
I bet
like
he does
him.
a walk on. Why not?
So is the girl that's in the store with Eric Selvig? Is that really Leia, as in Princess Leia, undercover?
No.
I don't think so. He calls her Leia though. Her name is Leia,
Yeah.
but I don't
I
think
think
that's
that's-
Princess Leia.
No. So we haven't even done feedback yet. We've been going.
Oh
So
yeah,
long.
sorry. Yeah, we do. We have feedback. Let's get to it.
Let's enter feedback.
Okay, it's surprising that this we've gone so long on a topic that I didn't think we'd talk about that long, but we did, and it was fun.
Yeah. Well,
it's
we
good stuff.
talked about a lot of ancillary things
We
along
did.
the way.
We did.
A lot to vent about.
Yep. Okay, so we do have a voice. Like I said before, a voicemail. If you guys want me to go ahead and play that now, it's
Yeah,
very
do it.
relative to what
Do
we
it.
just finished talking about. So here we go.
Hey, so I saw that you guys were looking for comments about whether Trek is dying or not. No, I don't think so. Honestly, they canceled one convention in Seattle. Seattle, I don't think, is maybe not the right venue this year. Who knows? I think there are overall problems, and I really think the core of it is everything's on one service that only has Star Trek to speak of. Basically, it's Paramount Plus, really. I mean, if you had it on multiple services, where it was like everyone and their brother could hear it and see it and say it, and if it was on broadcast television, even on a major network or something, if it was somewhere people could actually hear it and see it, maybe there might be more attention to it. Like, if they actually did put Prodigy back on regular Nickelodeon instead of just, it's on Paramount Plus, go watch it there. That requires someone to do something. We all know people are lazy. They're not going to do that. Come on. This is Spooky from Instagram. Talk to you later. Bye.
Spooky from Instagram. Someone we've never heard
Hey,
from before.
thanks, Spooky.
Yeah.
So that raises an interesting idea.
Because I hadn't
So
even thought
we're-
about that.
We're in this time period where NBC is clutching all their pearls and
Indeed.
putting their stuff on Peacock, and CBS is clutching their pearls and putting all their stuff on Paramount Plus, and ABC pretty much has all their stuff on Hulu still. I'm wondering if we're going to see at some point some of these companies shift and say, no, we're going to put all our stuff on every service. Any service that wants it, like lower the cost, lower the licensing fees or whatever. And, you don't have to pay as much for our content, but the understanding is it's not exclusive. It's also going to be available elsewhere, because there would be value to that also for these streaming services, to know that maybe they won't gain customers that way, but they'll retain customers who shift from service to service. I don't have to shift to a different service to get Star Trek. I can stay where I am because Star Trek is available everywhere.
I do know that that is the new model that HBO Max is looking at, where they're going to start licensing out their older content to like a Netflix or a Paramount Plus or whatever, just to get more money out of that show.
Yeah.
So that could be a thing. I know Sony decided not to start their own network or streaming service and just work directly with either Amazon or Paramount whoever
Netflix
per show. Yeah. So there's definitely different models that are being tried right now.
So this gave me an idea.
That's always dangerous when Chad gets ideas.
If I was running, so this is a great voicemail, by the way, which is why I love these voicemails, and I wish we would get more voicemails, because usually when we get them, they're like this. They're very thought-provoking. They're very well done. We really appreciate it, Spooky. Please give us another voicemail sometime, 816-287-0448. These are fantastic. We have, I've said this for a long time, we have a great group of people who listen and follow this show. And every time we get feedback from them, it's excellent. So keep it up, guys. So with that said, this gave me a fantastic idea. If I was running Star Trek right now, I would instantly put Prodigy on YouTube Kids. I wouldn't care about commercials, license, whatever. It's going on YouTube. The barrier's totally gone. What do a lot of, I mean, like it or not, a lot of parents let their kids just sit there and watch YouTube. Right? There's no barrier for you to be able to watch something on YouTube. It's right there. Period. There's zero barrier, and everybody I mean, the amount of content that's on YouTube that gets uploaded, the amount of content that's watched every day, boggles my mind. If you look at the raw numbers, it makes you wonder, what in the hell? How is anybody even going to bed at this point and sleeping? There's so much being created and watched. It's like, how is anything else getting any attention outside of YouTube? It's gigantic.
My kids watch way more YouTube than they watch television.
Oh yeah, my kid, both of my kids, even though the one's 20 now, they watch more YouTube or TikTok or Snapchat than they do TV of any kind ever, and it's been that way for years, even before the pandemic.
Dude, I'm that way. I watch more YouTube than I do.
I'm a mix. That's just, I mean, I've always been a mix of everything. I'm a mix of different genres of music and movies and books and everything, right? So I'm kind of all over the place. I'm an oddball that way. But
there's, you know what? I'm on YouTube quite a bit. There's so much content on there, so many different types of content on there that, you know, when I'm driving to work and, you know, there's something in the news and I want to hear about it, I want to know about it, I'll pull up YouTube on my phone and search for it, and I'll get a news report from 6 hours ago on that topic that's on YouTube, because, you know, whatever news network uploads their content on there, and I'll listen to the YouTube video while I'm driving. You know, the debate for governor. You know, it happened last night while I was asleep. Not last night, but I'm talking, you know, months ago. It happened last night while I was asleep. Well, I'm going to listen to it on the ride to work. The easiest way to find it is just go on YouTube. Somebody uploaded it to YouTube. Right. So, yeah, it's probably the most watched TV channel, air quotes, TV channel that there is at this point. So, and you know, there's ad revenue on YouTube. So
there is.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the most viable outlet for some of this stuff.
For a Prodigy,
just put it on YouTube.
Yeah, for Prodigy for sure.
Yeah.
So, because it's kids and everything else, but as far as watching YouTube, I watch a lot of YouTube, but I watch a lot of YouTube that's very. So unfortunately, like on YouTube, you get kind of like suggestions for you and all this stuff, right? So, my wife discovered that you can get like a looping 10-hour long visual of like a coffee shop that plays calming music on it.
Yeah.
So she plays that on our TV in the front living room, because it's a huge TV and you can see it from everywhere in that part of the house. And so it's going while she's cleaning, or it's going while she's reading something, or it's just going in the background nonstop. So now I have to scroll through about 50,000 different versions of that to get to anything else on my YouTube channels. But I'll watch things like Mr. Beast.
It's also based how long you watch.
It is.
So when you do those, those are on for a while, and
because they're usually on for 5 hours at a time. It's ridiculous.
There's ones like that where it's 18 hours of 1701D bridge background noise.
I've done that before, and it drives my wife nuts. But I've done that before just to kind of counteract the coffee shop jazz music. Well, actually, I do love the jazz music.
The ones I like is there's ones where you can someone has just walked around a major city, like there's one of walking around Tokyo or walking.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those
and
are
it's
cool.
just soft music, and
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
seeing the city, and that's pretty neat.
I use a lot of those that are copyright free for background music for all the other stuff that I do on the other side for the game. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
There's one where, do you remember the episode where Dr. Sung was controlling Data remotely, and Data took over the ship, and he locked out the bridge controls by impersonating Picard's voice, and put
Yeah.
he did like a 35-digit encryption code.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's just Picard's voice saying, 1786 Alpha Tango 14369 Tango blah 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 blah. So there's a video on there where it's like 18 hours of encrypted Picard. They just snooped all this. They just chopped all this.
Oh
stuff
Lord.
up.
That's great.
If you can think of it, it's on YouTube. So
They'll
sure.
They'll literally put anything on there.
all right, so let's spin back to. That explains why Mr. Beast is so popular. Let's go back to feedback. If you've never watched Mr. Beast, Dan, you should do that. That'll blow your mind.
What's Mr.
Mr. Beast on YouTube? Just go watch one of his videos.
He just gives away things. It's crazy.
The man has given away like $20 million worth of stuff this year alone.
Yeah,
he's that rich off of YouTube. It makes you sick.
Yeah, he walks up to people in the grocery store and just be like, "Hey, do you have this on your phone or whatever?" And they'll say yes or no, and then he'll be like, "Great, here's $10,000," and walks away.
Right. Or
really,
but what the fun thing is that he did was he had a stack of $1,000 and he had a stack of $10,000, and he'd walk up to somebody and say, if I gave you a stack of 1,000, what would you do with it? And if they said, "Oh, well, I would give it away," then he'd go, "That's excellent. Here's 10,000." Right. Yeah. And so, so it's kind of like a play on morality. Like, what would you do? Like, if you had a decision between one or the other. And then he does things where he has a whole. Go ahead.
I think I saw one like that where it's like, would you rather I give you $500 or give you $1,000 to give to somebody else?
Right.
Yeah.
And if they chose the $1,000 to give to somebody else, then he would give them money. Or like some of his is like, I bought a car dealership. Like Rambo said in the chat, I bought a car dealership and gave all the cars away. Like, he's done that. He's bought houses before and then renovated them and watched all the renovation, and he just gives them away.
And where does he get this money?
From YouTube. He's been doing this for years. Yeah. He also has his own merchandise. Again, he's done merchandising better than Trek.
He's got burgers. He's got chocolates.
Burgers. He's got chocolates. You can get Mr. Beast burgers anywhere in the country now. It's crazy. He's really like, that is merchandising done right. That is like, if you came up with a Trek burger that you could order from DoorDash right now, fuck, I'd do that every day. And just think of the little tiny ad revenue you'd get off of it. Like, there's.
I think my son asked me a Beast Burger.
Yeah. Mr. Beast Burger. Yeah.
Once.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. He's popular with the kids, man.
Yeah. So
they all want to be
the shows are, but the shows are short and they're quick.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like, you did all this stuff, but you only airing it for 15 minutes. Well, it's because he knows.
He did a live version of Squid Games.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I still don't know what Squid Games is, and I'm
I never watched.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right, let's get back to feedback because we still have some more feedback.
Yeah.
We do have a email that came in from Pavel, and he says, "Hey Chad, try reading these to the guys, and they will need to guess which Trek movie it is." Oh boy, he's put a bunch of them in here. This will be fun. Paul Hipster Spock. That's Pavel. He says, 1, old computer looks for its programmer.
Oh, that's the motion picture.
Yeah. Ruthless criminal angry about poor living conditions.
Oh, that's Khan.
That's the Wrath of Khan. Yeah.
The crew try to get
these in order.
I don't know. The crew tried to get Spock's brain back to where it belongs again.
That's search for Khan.
That's search for Spock. Yeah. These are in order, man. Switch them around.
Okay. Picard fights imminent domain, sort of.
Nemesis.
Hold on. Picard fights imminent domain.
Oh no, that's insurrection.
No, that's insurrection.
Insurrection. Yeah. Aliens want to know where their pen pals have gone.
That's the voyage home.
Yeah.
Pen pals of the whales.
Oh yeah.
Bad guy is angry because of peace until rock music saves the day.
Oh, Beyond. Beyond,
yeah. These are hilarious. two famous captains meet due to Christmas miracle. This is great.
Generations.
That's generations, yeah. These are fantastic.
It's great.
Vulcan guy goes around telling people to get over their problems.
Number 5.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Which was called? Do we even remember the title?
The Voyage Home? Or,
No.
The Final Frontier.
The Final Frontier, yeah.
Yeah.
Picard tries to stop Picard from killing Picard.
Picard tries to stop Picard from killing Picard. That's Nemesis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Federation wouldn't exist if some old guy hadn't wanted to make some sweet cheddar.
It's First Contact.
First Contact. Yeah.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? These are fucking fantastic.
Nice.
Sorry.
That
This is the last
great.
one in my actually, it's not the last one, but this is my favorite one. How to become a captain in 10 days.
That's Star Trek 09.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Admiral tries to start a war using the most circuitous route possible.
It's
Into
Into Darkness.
Into darkness, yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Those are awesome, hipster Spock.
That's great.
Thank you.
As always, we appreciate that. Okay, and then the last thing on the feedback that I have before we get to Daniel's feedback is our chartable rankings over the last week.
Oh, yeah.
We actually ranked in 4 places around the world. None of them was United States, but we did rank in the top 250 in TV reviews all around the world, in 4 places around the world. Can we guess which 4 countries?
Nope.
Germany, Spain, Brazil, Ireland, and Denmark. All of them
Oh, wow.
in the top 250 over the last week. Germany was 213, Spain was 179, Brazil was 187, Ireland was 209, Denmark was 154. So we are very popular with the Europeans. I guess we should do a European world tour.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Please send your Patreon donations to Dan.
We'll tell you what, when they do a European convention, if they want to fly us out there, we'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, of course, we'll have to talk about STLV. We'll try to figure something out there because that's
Yeah,
probably
we'll
the only
figure
place
that
that
out.
we'll be able to go. So, okay, Daniel,
Yeah.
what feedback do you have?
You'll
sir?
have to. So what you're saying is you'll have to try and convince me to go to Las Vegas. Is that what you're saying? It's gonna be hard,
Yeah.
man. No, I
That's
do not
tough.
like Las Vegas. Not at all. Have you seen those commercials? Have you seen those commercials where the guy's he's reading a bedtime story to his kid, and he says, "In Las Vegas, all the best foods are made of broccoli. They have broccoli hot dogs and broccoli ice cream and broccoli this and broccoli that." And the kid is looking at him like, that sounds terrible. And he says, Dad, I don't think I want to go with you and Mommy to Las Vegas tomorrow. And he rolls over to go to sleep. And the dad is like, he's like, yes, but he's being quiet. He's saying yes, but he's telling the kid, oh, well, you don't want to come? It's going to be so much fun. And I think it's a commercial. I think it's like the Las Vegas Tourism Bureau or something. But oh my God, I love that thing.
I was out in Vegas about a month and a half ago now, and billboards are all over the place where they're hiring for strippers. There's a huge shortage of strippers, and this billboards billboards actually say that. Yeah, I was out there to apply. The billboards actually say that there's a huge shortage because of the student loan forgiveness program.
That's funny. That's funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Hilarious.
I just found that hilarious. I mean,
Well,
I would have thought it was because of OnlyFans.
that too, but even
Yeah.
more so on the other end. But
That's funny.
that's
I would
pretty
say
funny.
More so, but
Yeah.
feedback that I've got. I mean, everything was just based off of our topic, and like I said, the majority was just, it's fine, but it could be better. So.
Okay.
Cool.
That's our feedback then. Wow, it was an hour and a
That's our
half long
feedback.
show on this. This was great.
Yeah. Wow.
Good
we talked a lot
conversations.
about this stuff.
We did.
Yeah.
So, All right, I guess we're ready for the outro. Again, special episode next weekend. I'll be watching for that. It's already slated and scheduled to come out, so that'll be wonderful.
Yep.
Give us some more of your feedback, obviously, at trekcasttng@gmail.com, chadiswrong@gmail.com. Our voicemail is 816-287-0448. Make sure to come and join the Facebook group if you're not there already, and, of course, the Discord group. Links of that are always posted all over the place. And then, of course, on our Instagram, which is just on fire. Daniel does a fantastic job on Instagram. I don't know what you're doing over on Twitter because I haven't looked lately. All I've heard lately is that Twitter's about to die. I know Elon
That's
fired
all I've
some
heard,
staff,
too.
but for all I know, it's still going strong, though. Who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be fine.
I think it'll be just fine.
Yep.
I mean, it's not going to be Truth Social, but I'm kidding. Truth Social's a
It's
dumpster
just-
fire.
It just
Lord.
cracks me up. All these people telling the richest man in the world that he knows nothing about running a business. But whatever. It's
Right,
fine.
exactly. Well, not only that, but a technology business, because that's the entire thing he's been in since before it was a thing. So whatever.
Yeah.
Mm,
Daniel's biting his
I have
bottom lip.
different thoughts. Yeah. Well, when you lock yourself out of the building and you have to call the guy that you fired to come back in and let you back in because you didn't think about it, that's a
I don't know. Was that real?
Yes, that was real.
Are you sure?
Yes, because Elon thanked that guy for letting him back in on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, though.
Yeah,
I just find that funny.
yeah, it's funny.
I don't think it's a slight on his management ability or his. I just think he's. I mean, right now he's bitten off more than he can chew. I will say that.
I think he's in over his head a little bit.
Yeah, well, he's got friends helping him out with the Twitter side of things. If you listen to the All In
Hopefully.
podcast, which you should, everybody should be listening
Yeah.
to the All In podcast. Those are some of his friends that are actually helping him out on there. David Sachs, Jason Calacanis, who are actually trying to help him out with the Twitter side of things because he has bitten off way more than one man can chew on, right? He needs help.
Yeah,
You
I
can't-
think it's.
But the
It's one of those
reality is,
situations-
in the end, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be
It
fine.
really is.
It'll be fine.
It-
Yeah.
I
It'd be
think it's
fantastic.
a situation where it's not. The answers weren't as simple as he thought, and that's just what it is.
Oh, well, it's always that way on the outside looking
Yeah,
in.
it is always that.
It
way.
is always that way. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It's always that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because you can't see the
Yeah, 'cause
inside
you don't
until
know
you're
the
in.
situation.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Twitter's code is a total dumpster fire. So,
I'm sure so many websites and things that we use are just a dumpster fire that we don't know about.
it's all a
held
house of
together by
cards.
string
All
and-
programming.
yeah.
All programming. I don't care who you talk to. All programming is a total house of cards.
Oh, for sure.
One little thing,
sure.
the whole thing falls apart. So it's just it's very fragile.
What did they say? The only solid technology were those old Nokia phones that you could not kill.
Or a or a solid state hard drive. Like that's the only
Yeah,
solid
yeah.
technology is a solid state hard drive. Doesn't mean that the stuff that's on it's worth anything, but at least the hard drive itself has no moving parts. Thank God.
Right.
So,
Right.
all right, I guess that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
send us your email, send us your feedback, get into all the groups, and we will be back shortly. And I will play the outro.
Well, there you have it, another episode in the can. Check us out at trekcast.com. Also, if you would, please subscribe to us via iTunes. Leave those reviews, subscribe to us, we get some numbers, get up the list, get more listeners, do more shows, have more fun. But for now, we're all done. So live long and prosper, and we'll see you next week.
We probably ought to update that at some point because who subscribes to anything or listens to podcasts on iTunes anymore?
I know, but it's
It doesn't
David.
exist.
and
Yeah.
David
It
always
is.
takes us out.
Yeah, it's
We'll
true.
have to get him to record something. We'll have to get him to record a different outro.
Oh, he probably
I
would.
like having it at the end.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I know
do
he
too.
would.
He probably would. Maybe when
And
I'm
you
out in Vegas
and
again,
you know what?
I'll see him again and we'll do that.
Well, you know what? If we end up out there in August, we'll definitely have to hook up with him.
Oh, for
and
sure.
Darren.
Yeah.
Oh, for
and,
sure.
And
Yeah.
do a super special crossover episode or something.
There you go.
Yep. Live from a hotel room
Right.
in Vegas.